guys know that student athletes are amongst the hardest working people in the world? I wonder why. Maybe it's because they're up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, going to workouts, probably like a little walkthrough before practice later on that day. Then after that, they gotta go to class. After class, then they go to practice. After practice, they go on to do their homework, probably study, watch film. And some of these athletes, on top of all that, still find a way to work a job in between. But for reality, for other athletes, like Division I athletes, they can't work a job because it's not allowed. The NCAA or the National Collegiate Athletic Association doesn't allow it. So what do these kids do for money? Well, some people believe that the school and the NCAA should pay these athletes just for playing the sport on top of going to school. But Matthew Brooks, an author for CNN, stated that these athletes do need to get paid just because of how much they work and how much time they put into the sport, how much time they put into school on top of everything. And just recently, California was the first school to come out and say that starting in 2023, they will come out and they're going to pay their athletes to play their sport while going to school. And this was a huge step for sports in general, college sports in general, but it was a step in the wrong direction. And this is something that needs to be stopped before it gets out of hand. And before everything go along with it, because it could ruin college sports in general. Everybody loves college sports because it's pure, it's like amateur. Everybody loves college sports because it shows what sports should be about: family, competition, and everybody just loving the game. But if you start playing athletes, you take that away. Tim Tebow, former Denver Bronco quarterback and University of Florida quarterback, said that if we start playing athletes, we take just exactly what I said. We take the purity of college sports away. And make it, instead of about family, we make it about me, instead of just us, a unity together. And according to Natalie Rigoli, an author for CNN, she gave out a couple pros and cons of paying student athletes. And a couple of her cons were it's a burden to us as taxpayers, because a lot of these state schools, they want to go on and they won't have like enough money to pay these athletes. So what they do, they ask the state to help. And what the state does, they charge us on our taxes to pay for these athletes to pay their sport. And after that, it's like, okay, do we pay a starting quarterback or a starting running back the same as we pay somebody who sit in the bench their whole 4 years there? Or do we pay the quarterback more than we pay the O-line? Like, so how do we distribute this pay? Another con is that it's a burden to smaller schools like Ball State, where they are barely making ends meet when it comes down to the budget at the end of the year for their athletics. So how do they pay their athletes if they're barely scraping by at the end of the year? Brandon Thomas, an author for Bleacher Report, argues that if these schools can't pay their athletes, then it's just on them. He said, and I quote, "Frankly, programs would need to find another source of revenue to pay their athletes. And that source is either us as taxpayers, or that could be canceling programs like dance or any other fine arts so they can provide these athletes with their check." But he also said that $100 a week is an okay pay rate for these athletes. Well, if you think about it, if you work 40 hours a week and you get paid minimum wage, that's $290 a week. So he's saying that these athletes, all the work they put in is worth less than getting paid minimum wage. He also says that it's too much to expect other athletes to play for an education and just for the love of the sport. Why is that too much when that's something that I do? And in fact, I paid $10,000 a year just to play a sport and to go to school. when some of these kids out here are going to school for free. That's not right. And you probably like, oh, what can I do? Like, what is it, like, how do I stop this? And the only way you guys can stop this is you vote against the option of paying college student athletes when it comes down to our state officials, because they're going to come down, they're going to ask us what we believe should be done. And when we vote against it. And it's because athletes, normally when the athletes on full or partial scholarships, typically get a check at the end of the month to help pay for their certain expenses. And Stephen Resnick, another author for Bleacher Report, says that these athletes get paid around $500 a month so they could buy certain things like deodorant, soap, laundry detergent, like snacks for their dorm room or apartment. And if we keep going down the same path of all these schools, all these states paying their athletes to play their sport, we can see a future of kids in high school signing endorsement deals to like things like Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, like that, which adds to the stress of them finishing high school, trying to figure out a college to go spend approximately 4 years at. And then on top of that, they got to deal with coaches recruiting them, and then they got other places like other businesses like Adidas and Nike recruiting them to sign with them. But Matthew Brooks, an author for the Triangle, says that he believes that the kids will stay in school longer because they're getting paid to stay, and that they just want to keep that money coming in. But what's stopping them from leaving early? If we're teaching them selfish ways and make everything about them, they're going to keep doing selfish things, and they're going to leave school early like they're doing now and go professional. And all this is to say that California started something that can be stopped, but it's up to us. First, we have to take the actions first. We got to take it up to our state officials. We got to talk to them, let them know that we don't want this going on. And I know that our votes won't matter if everybody else votes against us. So we got to make sure that people around us in our community understand that these athletes are getting their basic necessities and more while being there at school.